Hello and welcome to This Is Us. I'm Becca King-Reed. This week we're in Albany, California at Golden Gate Fields. This is the only major racetrack in Northern California. Thoroughbreds have been coming here to race since 1941. This track has really seen some history. Big time horses like Citation, Noor, even the legendary John Henry have raced here. And tonight we're going to take you behind the scenes to meet the people that make racing happen. We're not going to teach you how to handicap a horse or make a $2 bet, but we are going to introduce you to some winners. We'll also meet a Marin firefighter and his best friend, a search and rescue dog named Nino, and horse racing Hall of Famer and North America's all-time winning jockey, the legendary Russell Bays. We've got some great stories to share, and it all starts now.
This is us.
This is us.
This is us.
Welcome back to Golden Gate Fields. Joining me now is Sam Spear, the Director of Media Relations. Thanks for having us, Sam.
We enjoy having you and hope you enjoy the day.
We're off to a great start. It's a beautiful day, and we're really excited to see everything unfold throughout the afternoon. You've been able to watch that for many years. How long have you been here?
Since 1977. I started here in January of 77 and been enjoying it ever since.
What do you think makes this track special? Why is it still here after so many years when it's the last big major track in Northern California, right?
Well, where it's located is an area that's not going to be developed. It's going to be kind of preserved as a park. So we continue to race here, but we're on the water and we look out to San Francisco. In fact, Herb Cain once wrote in his column that the best view of San Francisco was from the men's room at Golden Gate Fields.
That's a good story. And you have lots of great stories about this track. Tell me some of the more famous horses and celebrities who have been here.
Well, we've had, over the years, when racing was in California, a lot of the celebrities liked to own horses. Harry James and Betty Grable came here with their horses, and Mickey Rooney used to come here. Jimmy Durante, John Forsythe came here in his horse. Merv Griffin owned horses, so he came to watch his horse run. Telly's Pop, Telly Savalas, he had a horse called Telly's Pop. So when he ran in a big race, we handed out lollipops. And so it's always been a lot of fun when different celebrities came to the races.
What about famous horses? I understand Citation ran here and John Henry.
Citation and Noor had tremendous battles here at Golden Gate Fields. And this is the home of the very first victory for the legendary Bill Shoemaker.
Oh my gosh.
Won his first race here in 1949, and obviously went on a tremendous career, winning over 8,000 races and inducted in the Hall of Fame and winning the Kentucky Derby 3 times. And Johnny Longden, also a Hall of Fame jockey, who held the record for the most wins at that time, and then was surpassed by Bill Shoemaker, who was eventually surpassed by our own Russell Bays, who rides here today.
And I see his numbers are up and everybody's waiting to get him to that 12,000 mark.
Right. So, and he's ridden over 50,000 races.
Pretty incredible.
Which is about almost 2 times around the world, if you clocked it in regards to miles. It's amazing that he's still riding and after all these years, and still winning. He's still the winningest jockey each year for total wins in the country.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your stories with us. We're looking forward to a great day here.
And we look forward to seeing you and your viewers at the races.
Well, we'll be back in a minute with more from Golden Gate Fields, but first, John Gregg has the story of a Marin fire captain and his very special partner, a search and rescue dog named Nino.
Good. Search.
It's a partnership. A partnership that goes back thousands of years ago when men first domesticated dogs and they began working together.
Good job. Very nice.
In the case of Marin Fire Captain Jimbo Jerry and his search and rescue dog Nino, the partnership is also a heartfelt friendship.
Nino is about a 6.5-year-old fox red Labrador Retriever. We've been together approximately 3.5 years now. Nino does live human scent in disaster environments, people buried under rubble after major catastrophes, bombings, things of that nature.
Good boy, Carlos.
Scientists believe that dogs were first domesticated from gray wolves about 15,000 years ago. They were used for hunting, herding, and companion animals.
Ready? Come on. Wait.
Nino was rescued from the Placerville SPCA and trained as a search dog and then put to work.
Typically these dogs are just these really high energy, wonderful dogs who people think are going to be great pets. But unfortunately they have so much energy they realize that it takes a lot more than just putting a dog in a backyard or running them once a week.
Search.
To our benefit, we find these dogs and put them through some basic training, search training, obedience, and agility, and turn these dogs into rescuers.
Attaboy. Very nice.
Following 9/11, there's been a high premium placed on search and rescue dogs. The training is rigorous, and it takes about a year to find the right dogs for the job.
Nino is a live scent dog. That's all they work for is live human scent, people who are buried, people who are not have perished. One of the things that we will do with our dogs is what they call proof the dog. We will bury cadaver material within the training pile. We don't want our dogs alerting on cadaver material. We are specifically looking for people who are alive, who are buried.
Fire department search team, is there anybody in there? For us, when we train, it's all about the victim. We don't want the handlers really engaging. We want that victim to be the greatest thing in the world. Good boy. Get him. All the fun, all the excitement comes from the victim that's in there. Get him.
Nino lives with Jim and his family, and they put in countless hours training together, weekdays and weekends. So what makes a great search and rescue dog?
High drive, tenacity and high drive, high toy drive.
Go through.
These dogs, for them, it's a game. What I consider to be training, for them, it's playtime.
Cheating.
The National Disaster Search Dog Foundation was founded back in 1995. Jim has been involved for the last 10 years as a volunteer canine handler. His first dog was named Recon in honor of a New York City firefighter who was killed in the line of duty.
Recon and I were paired in October of 2001, right after 9/11. So when I was given my dog, I was told that he was the dog that was chosen, that we would be the team chosen to represent Tim McSweeney and the other firefighters who perished from line of 3 at 9/11.
Recon has retired, but Jim and his dog worked together following Hurricane Katrina. Jim and Recon followed that with Hurricane Rita, Gustav, and Ike. It was the devastation of Katrina that left a number of jarring memories.
Our first deployment was to Hurricane Katrina, which, as you can imagine, was an eye-opening experience. As much training as we do, it's really hard to prepare yourself for everything that we can face. We spent about 8 days down in Biloxi, Mississippi, searching an 8 square block area that had been completely decimated by the tidal surge from Katrina.
Sit.
Black, yellow.
Good.
There are 260 certified teams across the nation. Most of the work with the search dogs utilizes firefighters who freely volunteer their time.
I think there's going to be a greater demand for these dogs. When we look at what happens around the world between natural disasters, be it tornadoes and earthquakes and hurricanes and things of that nature, and then we get into the man-made disasters, the need is very high.
Bo Jerry has been a firefighter for 24 years, and he seems to have found his calling in working with the dogs.
I love the dogs. I love the mission of the Search Dog Foundation, the thought of being able to make that big a difference in somebody's life, be able to save somebody who's buried. If that was my family member, I would want to know that there were people out there with the same skills and abilities that my dog and I have to make a difference in somebody's life.
Jim and Nino train relentlessly just in case the time comes when they are needed. It's what you would expect from friends and partners.
Welcome back. Joining me now is Hall of Fame trainer Jerry Hollendorfer. Thanks for taking time out to talk to us today.
Thank you for having me.
Now, I read that you are a horse whisperer. What does that mean?
I don't think they call me that. A horse whisperer is somebody that claims that they can communicate with horses. I've not been quite so fortunate in my life.
So how do you get horses to, if you're not communicating with them, how do you encourage them to do what you want them to do?
Well, you know, all athletes are the same, whether they're human or animal. And so we have a training program for them and put them on our program and hope that we can get them to win races that way.
Now, when horses are running, do they know they're competing? Do they want to win, or they just like to run?
Well, that's a matter of observation, and I think that a lot of horses know when they're going to run, and I think they know when they do well when they stand in the winner's circle, and frequently they act a little bit differently once they've won a race.
So it changes the way that they run when they win a race?
I think so.
So you've had some winners. Tell me about Dakota Phone.
Okay, Dakota Phone's a horse that I bought in a 2-year-old training sale, and we had him for a number of years, and then in the last year, my partner and I, Ted Aroni, won the Breeders' Cup Mile with him, and he came from way off the pace in a very exciting race, and got up the last jump of the race and ended up winning for us.
Wow. Is that exciting when that happens?
That was exciting, yes.
Now, tell me about Blind Luck. There's a great story behind that horse.
Well, Blind Luck's a filly that we bought out of Florida, and she ended up winning many Grade 1 races for us, and a lot of money. A very special filly to have in the barn, and very special times that we had with her winning, and she was always game and always gave her best on every single race.
Now, there's an interesting history behind her name. Can you tell us about the name Blind Luck and how that?
Well, her sire was blind in one eye, and so I think the name comes from that base.
Okay. Well, let's take a walk. I know you have to saddle up some horses, and I'm going upstairs to talk to Michael Rona.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Down the middle of the track, it's Bobby Louie moving up on the outside to head Onyx Be Good, then Dan's Plan B, Moonlight Classic, Helm's Magic is next, but Bobby Louie blasting away in the last little bit. The whip is put away, and Duran eases down. It's an easy score. Bobby Louie by 5 from either Onyx Be Good or Dan's Plan B. And then a photo fourth, Helm's Magic.
Joining us now is one of the most distinctive voices in racing, Michael Rona. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, pleasure, Becca.
This is great. Thanks for stepping out of the booth and stopping up here. Now, I have a question I'm sure everybody has wanted to ask a track announcer. How did you get here? What led you? What was the career path that led you here?
Pretty convoluted. It goes back to the early 80s in Australia. It goes back to my bedroom floor in my teens when I had decided that I wanted to emulate the race callers I was hearing on the radio. It started drawing the colours, the jockey silks of horses of that era on little pieces of paper that I would push across my bedroom floor, creating these phantom race calls, probably driving the neighbours crazy in the process, and my brother to boot, as I recall. And I used to call those fantasy race calls into a tape recorder for a couple of years before I ever went to the racetrack and tried the real thing.
So then you would sit in the stands and try to call a race?
Yeah, I contacted some of the established announcers, was invited to go and meet them. When a spare booth was available, I could use that. Other times I'd just practice from the back of the stands. I'd play them some of my work and they would tell me what I was doing right, what I was doing wrong, and in those days there's a lot more of the latter. But gradually I kept refining it, and the only way to do it is to keep practicing if you're serious, because there's no school, no classroom that can teach you that craft.
So you have to find a mentor.
Yes, I had an inspiration in particular, the leading race caller in Sydney, John Tapp. While other kids in high school were idolising athletes or rock stars, I just wanted to be like Johnny Tapp. And ultimately the chance to come to America in 1990 was through him. It was bizarre. It was something I'm still pinching myself over, but Hollywood Park Racetrack down in Los Angeles offered him the job. He said, I'm a bit long in the tooth to make a commitment of that magnitude, but here's a younger guy who might be able to help you out. And it was through my first idol, the guy I just wanted to be, that I became a race caller in the US.
Oh my gosh, what a wonderful story. Now, how did you have the courage to ask these famous people to help you?
I don't know where that came from. A bit of gumption, a bit of idiocy, but I thought that I didn't want to still be calling those phantom race calls on my bedroom floor at age 30, so I better take the next step and make something happen.
Now, what does your family think about this? It's very untraditional. Not many slots ever even open for this.
Yeah, it's very selective, very few opportunities. But despite the fact that there was no racing background in my family, they were fully supportive, and they just encouraged me to pursue my dream. I'm very, very lucky.
Now, tell me about the most difficult name there is for a horse. Is there one that sticks out for you that's hard to call?
There are many I've had nightmares over. I'm sure some owners just have a macabre sense of humor. I think they've got it in for race callers. But if I had to nominate one, there was a horse here in the early 90s. They spelled the entire breeding backwards. The sire was called Bulger. The dam, the mother of the horse, was I'm Coasting. And so this animal went around as Gnitsoak my Reglob. And it was a front runner to boot. Not like I could bury it back in the field and just sort of ignore it, you know? It got plenty of mentions.
Thanks so much.
Pleasure.
We'll be back in a minute with a special guest, but first, John Gregg profiles one of horse racing's best ambassadors, Hall of Fame jockey Russell Bays.
Pound for pound, they're the toughest athletes in professional sports. Most jockeys stand between 5'2" and 5'3" and weigh about 114 pounds. The horses go from anywhere from 900 to 1,200 pounds and travel 35 to 40 miles an hour. Russell Bays has made his living on horseback for more than 30 years, and he happens to also be the all-time winning jockey.
Warner Bull still coming. 2 lengths to Court the King, zoning in, running a tremendous race. But it's Warner Bull with the lead now. Warner Bull from Freesgood and zoning in, and Warner Bull takes it by a length. Freesgood second, and zoning in has run out of his skin in 3rd position, clear of Court the King.
There's an old proverb that goes, if you're going to tell the truth, it's best to keep one foot in the stirrup. There's a great deal of wisdom in that adage, but the flat-out truth is, despite the fierce competition in the hard-scrabble world that's the lifeblood of thoroughbred horse racing, the sport's leading winner, Russell Bays, is still one of the nicest guys you could ever hope to meet. Despite all of his success, the 50-year-old race rider from Woodside is a popular and highly respected man with everyone around the track, from blacksmiths to other jocks and trainers. In 1999, Bays was inducted into the National Museum of Racing and Hall of Fame, and in 2002, he was honored with the George Wolfe Memorial Jockey Award by his peers. The son of a former jockey turned trainer, most of the Bays clan, one way or the other, have ridden or worked around horses.
Well, my dad always jokes that, you know, back in the past, our family was horse thieves, and they had to have fast horses to get away on. But I know for a fact that my grandfather trained horses. He had a couple of horses, and they raced around the Blue Mountain Circuit up in Idaho and Washington, and my grandmother rode them. And then she had to finally stop riding because she was having children fairly frequently. And my oldest uncle, Earl, started riding, and then my father rode, and several of the other uncles rode. And in my generation, my older brother rode also, and then me and my little brother started riding too.
Riding really seems to be in the family blood. Two of Russell's cousins, Michael and Tyler Bays, are both very successful jockeys riding down south at Santa Anita. And then there's his son-in-law, jockey Kyle Canal. That connection to the track and the sport also extends beyond the people who ride horses for a living.
Besides riders, we've got trainers and horseshoers and veterinarian assistants, and you know, just about every job on the racetrack is a Bays has filled or is filling now.
In a profession that has seen Bays post more than 10,000 victories, the very first time he ever crossed the finish line in front is still vividly etched in his memory.
I started riding in 1974. I actually rode a race just before I turned 16. You weren't supposed to ride until you were 16, but there was a little fair up there called Walla Walla, and I rode my first race on an Appaloosa at Walla Walla. Ran 3rd. My first win was in October of that year, 1974, on a horse that my dad trained named Oregon Warrior, going a mile. And my father told me this horse doesn't like horses on the outside of him, so keep him out.
Bays was so young and green that he kept his horse extra wide, and he forced him to run an extra furlong.
We were going a mile and a 16th, and I didn't realize, you know, it would have been okay to save a little ground somewhere along the way, but I kept him out about 4 or 5 wide the whole way. He was so good it didn't matter. He just won with me anyway. But, you know, I mean, early years, I didn't show that, you know, I was going to have a whole lot of promise jockey business.
Russell Bayes riding for his life on this long shot, and it's both ends burning to win the Oak Tree Invitational. An upset as both ends burning, and Russell Bayes beat Gato del Sol by half a length.
Bayes is the leading money winner at picturesque Golden Gate Fields, and he continues to make an exceptionally good living despite being often anywhere from 20 to 30 years older than the other jocks.
The competitive aspect of it is always changing. I mean, you go out there and you got 6 or 7 or 9 other guys out there trying to, you know, maneuver their horses and get you in a spot where you can't run. And at the same time, you're trying to, you know, ride your horse and get the ultimate performance out of him. And, you know, I mean, it's just a constant battle of wits and aggressiveness, and it's really exhilarating to go out there day after day and do it. You know, I mean, it's always changing and always fascinating, and just being on a racehorse when they're running, it's a really gives you a feeling of power. Like, you know, you've got this huge, strong animal underneath you, and hopefully you're in control of it. And the times when you're not in control, that gives you a little extra shot of adrenaline.
Bayes back towards the inside in the white sleeves and cap. He's going to try and pick his way through the field. Now he switches towards the inside. There's an opening too. Wall of them lining up here, and Bayes sends Butterfly Bell through on the inside. She made it happen, comes strongly down the outside, but this is the race. Russell Bayes on Butterfly Bell, winning 2.5 lengths as a sterling career becomes gilt-edged.
On December 1st, 2006 at Bay Meadows, Bayes set the world's all-time record for most career victories, passing jockey Lafitte Pincay Jr. by winning race 9,531 aboard a horse named Butterfly Bell. It was a mark that Bayes knew he would eventually catch and surpass after his friend Pincay suffered a neck injury in a race and finally called it quits.
I was never one of them that thought it wouldn't be broken, because I was winning races at a pretty good clip at that time, and I knew eventually I'd catch Lafitte. And when he got hurt, you know, I was sorry to see it happen, because I don't want to see anybody go out of the game not on their own terms. But at the same time, I knew, okay, now he's a stationary target and I can catch him. You know, I mean, good Lord willing, I don't get hurt. I can catch him, and you know, I mean, it took me a little while to catch up to him, but I did catch him and go by him.
2 lengths to two-step cat, followed by a...
Not only did he surpass Pincay, Bayes would go on to win an amazing 10,000 races.
Here's Bayes getting a split on two-step cat in the green cap. Unusual Men, stablemate to two-step cat, is on the outside. It's Unusual Men, Bride Oakey, two-step cat in a three-way thriller. It's close. It's either Bride Oakey or two-step cat.
One thing, Russell, you sure made this 10,000 an exciting race. I wasn't really sure you'd won it.
You know, if I was a betting man...
Horse racing commentator Sam Spear has been covering the sport for more than 30 years in the Bay Area, and he has his own ideas on why Bayes is such a good rider.
He's just driven. He's driven to succeed, and he expects to win every race, and he rides each horse as if it's the Kentucky Derby. Whether it's the 4th race of the day or the 9th race of the day, you're going to get the same effort as you get in the big stakes race. He has not lost any of his competitive desire, though he's won over 10,000 races, and he's won over 400 races numerous times in his career. So even though he has these accomplishments, he still wants to win every race.
Nailing down all the victories has come with a price. Bayes has suffered more than his share of injuries over the course of his career.
Well, let's see. I've had several concussions. Broke a bone in my neck. Let's see. I've had my eyebrow split and my cheek split open. I've got 5 compression fractures in my back and 1 broken vertebrae. Both collarbones broke, this one twice. Let's see. Cracked my wrist, broke my pelvis. I broke 6 or 7 ribs. Let's see, had this knee tapped twice, this ankle tapped once, tore my arch loose in this foot. That's about it.
While Bayes is already in the Hall of Fame and has had tremendous success over a long career, he still doesn't want to give up race riding.
It's a fantastic adrenaline high, you know, you get from going out there and competing. And you know, I mean, I'm just proud enough to want to prove that I'm the best guy out there. And it's you know, I mean, it's just a great game.
Ah, look who dropped in. The legendary Russell Bays. Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure, Becca.
Now it's been a few years since we did the profile that people just saw, and you have reached some more milestones.
Yeah, in the meantime, I've hit 11,000 wins. I'm well on my way, almost to 12,000. And I had my 50,000th ride about a month ago.
Holy cow. Wow, 50,000 times you've been aboard a horse in a race.
Yeah, somebody did all the statistics, and I've ridden enough to go 1.5 times around the earth.
Which would you have rather done, ride in the races or go around the earth?
Pays a lot better riding in the races.
Now, you've been doing this, you told me, for 38 years. What is it about horse racing that makes you come back every day and do it again?
It's just exhilarating being out there on those animals. You know, they're very strong, you know, and the competition aspect of pitting my own wits against the other riders and, you know, striving to get the best out of my horse. It's just really exhilarating and always challenging.
Now, there is work that you do while you're riding the horse through the race, isn't there? It's not just you hop on and the fastest race wins. Tell people what kind of stuff do you do while you're riding along? What are you thinking about?
Yeah, we don't just keep a leg on either side and hope the horse runs fast enough. You know, right from the very beginning, you know, we get the horse set in the gate, you know, and have him looking down, relaxed but alert. And, you know, we have to help him out of there. We make some noise and get him out of the starting gate good. You have to watch, you know, the position all the other riders get yourself. That's why they call it jockeying for position. You get yourself in the best position you can that'll give your horse his best opportunity to run his race.
Do you have any advice for up-and-coming jockeys? You're very successful. What would you attribute that success to?
I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that I learned, before I ever rode horses, I was a groom on the backside. I know horses from the ground up. I learned to ride on my dad's training ranch, and I think that's a better place to learn than at the racetrack itself. You can get so much more fine instruction. You know, when somebody has the time to actually take you to like a small practice starting gate, you can get comfortable in there, you know, and get comfortable on the horses in there. And you know, if you just have a knowledgeable person at a training track telling you what to do, it's so much better than coming out here and having all the pressure of trying to perform.
Well, thank you so much for the special advice and for stopping by today. We really appreciate it. It's just about time for us to head to the barn. I hope that you've enjoyed this peek inside racing along with Russell Bays at Golden Gate Fields. I'm Becca King-Reed for everyone at This Is Us saying, see you at the races.
This is us.
This is us.
This is us.